Welcome to Super Saturday. You've joined Financial Aid One-on-One. Please make sure that you have your microphones on mute and your cameras off. That helps with the connections. If you have any questions, please use the chat feature, and questions will also be addressed at the end of the presentation. I want to take a minute to introduce you to our presenter. This is Trina Smith-Patterson. She's the Director of Financial Aid at Tarrant County College, the Northwest Campus. She's a graduate of SMU and has over 35 years of experience in financial aid, which includes her time as a student worker while at SMU. She's worked at TCC for the past 22 years and says helping students apply for financial aid is her third most favorite thing to do, behind spending time with her family and watching Hamilton on Disney. So thank you guys for being here, and I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Smith-Patterson.
Good morning. Thank y'all for coming here. I've had a lot of fun this morning. This is the, I think, the final one that I do. But I do want to say that this is one of the most favorite things I like to do, because we get so many students that apply for financial aid very late in their processing year. And so if we can get people to start applying long before that, the earlier as possible, it just makes my job so much easier. The Fafsa has been available since October 1st, and you want to try to get your application done before the end of October. So by Halloween, make sure that Fafsa is done. The presentation you're going to see today is actually a pre-recorded presentation, since we're now in this virtual world. We had decided as a district that we're going to pay the same video for all our presentations. I did trim out some things from this that didn't pertain to the Eagle Mountain Saginaw school district, but you won't know any difference because you never knew what was there in the first place. Throughout the presentation, I do have a staff member that's monitoring the chat. And so if you have a question, go ahead and put that question in there, and she would answer those questions for you. At the end, we will open it up to address more questions if you want to put them in the chat feature, or if you want to unmic yourself at that time and we open them up. So the presentation, it refers to things that are TCC only. We'll talk about that at the end of the presentation as well. But for the most part, everything it talks about, you can insert the name of your school. So if it tells you at TCC do this, just substitute at your institution that you're interested in going to do that, because the information for financial aid and applying for financial aid is the same no matter what school you're going to go to. The only thing different would be some of the programs that each school offers as far as scholarships are concerned, and some of the state programs. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to start the video, and then after we'll talk about any questions that you may have. That.
Oh, okay, so well, as Liz said, thank you.
It's nice if I share to the right screen. Hold on. Okay, there it goes. So let me start that over.
Okay, so as Liz said, thank you all for joining us today. Our intent is just to give you a little bit of an overview of financial aid at Tarrant County College, how to apply, what are the qualifications, and what to expect. So let's get started. Things that we're going to discuss, we're going to talk about what exactly financial aid is, how do you apply, a few things on completing your FAFSA, what if you have a special circumstance, and what to expect once you apply, a few scholarship opportunities, and just some additional things to keep in mind. Aid really is any money that is provided by the federal or state government institutions, as well as any other source that will help you pay for college. These can consist of different programs. They're referred to as grants, loans, work study, scholarships, waivers, or some veterans benefits. The basic types of financial aid, the one that everybody obviously wants is called gift aid. These are funds that generally do not have to be repaid as long as you attend class and meet the criteria. Some of these forms of gift aid is the federal Pell grant. You can qualify for up to 6 full-time awards. This is an award that if you fill out your FAFSA and you meet all the eligibility requirements, you get. There are no funding limitations for a Pell grant by TCC. There's the federal Seog grant. This is a grant that's offered on a first come, first served basis. There are state grants that we offer, which again also are on a first come, first served basis. One of them is called TPEG, the Texas Public Education Grant, or TEOG, the Texas Equal Opportunity Grant. The TEOG grant is a specific state program for two-year colleges at the state of Texas. I do just want to briefly mention the Texas grant. It is a grant, a state grant for four-year schools only, but I'm mentioning it because if you do transfer from TCC and receive the TEOG grant, I would suggest that you reach out to your financial aid office at your four-year school, because you could automatically qualify for the Texas grant at the four-year school. And of course, there's scholarships. You know, these are things that you would apply for. We never encourage you to pay money to apply for scholarships. There's plenty of free applications out there, and they're really easy to fill out, and you should be able to do these on your own. TCC does also offer scholarships through our Tcc Foundation, and this is their website. Don't discount your employers, you know, especially students or parents. Do you have a relative that has an employer that has scholarship programs, or even acquaintances? Sometimes acquaintances will work for an organization or a company that takes suggestions on scholarship recipients. And lastly, there are several scholarship search engines out there, to where one of them is fastweb.com. That's a pretty popular one, to where you can put in as much demographic information as you feel comfortable putting in. And then what happens is as scholarship opportunities become available, you will receive an email. Now, with that being said, you're only getting the email, so you do need to be proactive in applying for these scholarships and following up with them. The other type of financial aid that we consider is called self-help aid. This is aid that must either be earned or repaid. The federal and state college work study program is very popular. This is where you are offered a certain amount on your letter, and you can get a part-time job on campus that's pretty easy to work around your school schedule. It's more of you earn it as you work. You get a check bi-weekly, and you can work up to the amount on your award letter. Typically, students are limited to 19.5 hours a week. The other self-help program is federal loans. These do require 6 hours of enrollment, which is on a TCC degree plan. So the courses that you're enrolled in need to go towards your TCC degree, and those credits equal 6 hours. There's two types of loans for federal loans. There's the subsidized loan and an unsubsidized loan. The subsidized loan, the interest is deferred while you were enrolled at least 6+ hours. So even if you graduate from TCC and move on to a four-year school, you've had subsidized loan, that interest is still being deferred because you are continued to be enrolled, and it is based on your financial need. The second type is an unsubsidized loan. There is no deferred interest, or rather the interest begins at the time of disbursement. So exactly how do you apply for financial aid? There are two applications that are available. Which one you filled out will depend on your situation, or basically your citizenship status. The FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, is available for citizens and eligible non-citizens. This will have you potentially eligible for any federal and state aid that we have, as well as the institutional aid. This application is completed online at fafsa.gov. The second application is called the TASFA. This is the Texas application for state financial aid. This is available for students who have lived in Texas 3 years leading up to graduation from a Texas high school, or if they receive their GED certificate in Texas. They must reside or will have resided in Texas 12 months prior to enrollment. This will help you be potentially eligible for all state of Texas financial aid programs, as well as institutional aid. This is a paper application, not online, and it is submitted directly to TCC with your supporting documentation. This application is available on our website at tccd.edu. If you just go to the TCC website and type TASFA in the search bar, the application and information should come up for you. Okay, the general FAFSA eligibility requirements. Basically, you have to have a high school diploma or GED. You need to be a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen. If you're a male student, you need to register for selective service. You need to enroll in an eligible degree or certificate program. You need to enroll in at least 6 hours in your TCC degree program for most programs, and you need to be maintaining satisfactory academic progress, or what we refer to it as SAP. If you meet the TASFA eligibility requirements, you're not eligible to apply for the FAFSA basically due to your citizenship status in the United States. You must have lived in Texas 3 years leading up to graduation from a Texas high school or of receiving your GED certificate in Texas. You must reside or will have resided in Texas 12 months prior to enrollment. If you're a male student, you do need to register for selective service. I will caution, if you are not able to apply for or register for selective service online at sss.gov, you will be required to submit a paper registration application where you do need to send this into selective service and wait for the response to come back. So if you find yourself in this situation, we suggest that you get this process started. You also need to enroll in an eligible degree or certificate program, enroll in at least 6 hours in your TCC degree program for most of the programs, and maintain satisfactory academic progress. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about the FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid. One of the key words in this is free. It does not cost to fill out this application. There are some companies out there who will charge you to fill this out. Certainly not necessary. So we highly discourage you from paying for somebody to help you fill out the FAFSA. We do offer some assistance on campus if you should need it. Or at this point in time, we're offering remote assistance. Just contact us if you need some help. It is an annual process. So remember that as long as you're in school, you need to fill out your FAFSA every year. The FAFSA for the new year is available each October 1st for the following fall semester. You will also need to add TCC school code. This allows TCC to import your information from the Department of Education, and TCC school code is 003626. 2 ways to fill out your application. Fafsa.gov is the website, or My Student Aid, the Department of Ed, also created a app for your phone, and we will go over a little bit of that in the next few slides. But these are 2 ways that you can fill it out. If you haven't already downloaded the My Student Aid app, we highly encourage that you do that. And this is just a screenshot of what the FAFSA website looks like. You can see that if you're new to FAFSA, you would start there. Completing the form is free, as we said, so fill it out now. If you're a returning user, you will log in to the returning user section. This will also be the section if you are a new user and once you submit it, you will return here if you decide you need to correct any information, or if you need to add a school. If you are planning on transferring, you need to add a school so they can get your information. This is where you would do that. This is also a place where you could view what's called your student aid report. We highly encourage you, once you complete your FAFSA, print this off, or view it. What this is a printout of all of the information that you put in your FAFSA. So I really encourage you to go, after you fill your FAFSA out, look at each of these data elements and make sure that they're correct. It's very important for your Social Security number to be correct and your date of birth to be correct, as well as your name on your Social Security card. It's also important to make sure that your Social Security number and your date of birth was accurate on your TCC application. So I would check that also, because that's how we're going to bring in your FAFSA by batching that data. Okay, as we talked about, this is the My Student Aid app. It gives you access to all of your historical financial aid information. So if you have been to other schools, it should have all of your information in there. You will be able to see what your loan balance is, the status of your loans. You can apply as a new applicant on the My Student Aid app. At this time, a renewal student is not able to renew their FAFSA online, and you're not able to use the data retrieval tool option, which we will go over that here in a minute also. But this is a very useful app for you to have on your phone to keep up with your financial aid to make your future decisions. Okay, one of the biggest questions we always have when you're completing your FAFSA is, do I need to use my parents' information? There's a list of questions called Dependency Questions, and if any of the following applies, you are considered independent and you do not need to use this parental information. So if you're 24 years or older, if you're married, if you have children that you financially support more than 50%, if you're in foster care turning the age of 13, if you're an emancipated minor, or you're currently or were in legal guardianship. Remember, these two classifications, there's a legal document attached to that. So you have had to have gone, or somebody would have had to have gone to the court on your behalf to make that legal through the court system. If you are homeless or self-supporting and at risk of being homeless, or if you are a veteran or serving active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces, you will be considered an independent student and not required to use your parents' information. Okay, so we are all ready to fill out our FAFSA. First thing we need to do is we need to obtain our Fsa Id. This is going to be your electronic signature. It is very important that you do not share this. This is your electronic signature to if you take out student loans, you will be signing your master promissory note or your loan application with the signature. So it's important not to share it. As an independent, all students will need an Fsa Id. If you are a dependent student, one parent will need an Fsa Id also. Keep in mind when you're filling out this application that a student and a parent cannot use the same phone number or email. As I said, this is a private signature, so anything that is emailed to you or texted to you, if you request a text, is going to go to that number. So you want to make sure it's going directly to you. If you find that your parents do not have a Social Security number, while they're not eligible to create an Fsa Id, once you complete your FAFSA, they are able to sign and mail in the signature page to the Department of Ed. Okay, we talked a little bit about the IRS data retrieval tool. We encourage you to use that if you are eligible. About 4 or 5 years ago, I guess, the Department of Ed and IRS are so many questions about, why do I need to put this income information in when the government has it anyway? Well, the Department of Ed and the IRS are two totally different agencies, and both agencies are, concerned protecting your privacy. So they did come up with a way to where, with your permission, you can import your correct tax information from the correct board year directly into your FAFSA. So if you're eligible to use this, we highly encourage you to do that, because it could minimize the documentation that you may have to submit to us. About 30% of all aid recipients are selected for a process what's called verification, and TCC is required to verify certain data elements. One of those data elements is your income information. So if you did not use the data retrieval tool, you will have to submit a copy of your income taxes to us. If you have used the data retrieval tool, then they deem that as accurate information because it directly came over from the IRS. It's very important, if you're manually entering your information, to use the correct tax year. If it's usually 2 years behind, so for 2020-2021, which is the current FAFSA year we are in, you will or have used your 2018 tax documents. So when the 21-22 FAFSA opens October 1st, you will use the 2019 tax documents. Okay, so, we're filling out the FAFSA, and, what happens is you're filling it out, you say, well, I'm using my 2018 income, but that's really not reflective of what our current household situation is. What are my options? The Department of Ed does allow schools to consider these on a case-by-case basis. There's 3 statuses or pockets that you could fit in. One is the dependency override. We talked about the dependency questions. And a student will go, well, I cannot provide my parent information. So the option that you have, if you were abandoned or if you had to leave an unsafe situation, perhaps you lived with or been supported by someone other than a parent for an extended period. We see a lot of students that were raised by their grandparents. They weren't officially adopted or granted legal guardianship. You would fit into this dependency override situation. So there is a form that you can fill out. We do request, some documentation. The other one is if a parent or a student, we've seen this both, has experienced a change of income, which was something that was outside of your control. We're obviously seeing a lot of this year with the COVID. Several people people had lost their jobs or their hours were reduced, which greatly reduced their income, or they were furloughed and did not access unemployment. This is where you could request that we review your current status. The other option is an EFC adjustment. This will take care of you had any unusual or excessive expenses if you were separated or divorced, or there was a death of a parent or a spouse after you filed your FAFSA. You can request that we review that and make adjustments to that information. Now, something to be aware of is if any of these things, the separation, divorce, death of parent or a spouse, happened prior to you filling out the FAFSA, then you are able to go in and make those adjustments yourself. So you would pull out that second party's income and only report yours. All 3 of these applications are available on the TCC Financial Aid website, or again, you can go to tccd.edu, type in special circumstances in the search bar, and it should pull them up. Okay, again, it's important for you to monitor your account. Once you complete your FAFSA, TCC should import that into our system about 2 to 4 business days after you've submitted. As we discussed earlier, be sure that your Social Security number is correct on your TCC admissions application as well as your FAFSA. Check your MyTCC email regularly. This is how we communicate with students, so we will always communicate with you through your MyTCC email, as this is a secure way to communicate your private information. Submit any additional requested documents as soon as possible. Once your file is complete, you will receive an official offer letter through your financial aid self-service account. Okay, how do you maintain your eligibility? Obviously, you are receiving this funding because you have applied, you want to go to school and you need financial aid assistance to help you do that. There are expectations for you being eligible for this. All students are required to complete at least 67% of all hours attempted. You must have a cumulative GPA of 2.0. You need to complete your program within 150% of the public program length. I want to encourage you completing 60% of all hours attempted. That is all hours attempted at all universities that you have gone to. So if you have transfer credit, it really is in your best interest to make sure that you get those official transcripts into the registrar's office so they can be evaluated, so you can get credit for those courses that you passed. If you do find yourself ineligible for not meeting SAP, we do have an appeal process available if there were extenuating circumstances, and those instructions can be found on our TCC website. Again, just log on to our TCC website and type Satisfactory Academic Progress or SAP in the search bar. Okay, a little bit onto scholarships. TCC does have some designated scholarships. One of them is called the Stars of Tomorrow. This is available to all students who graduated from a Tarrant County high school. It is for up to 6 semesters, up to $4,000. It is prorated based on your enrollment status. Some of this is kind of small, so if you do type Stars of Tomorrow in the search bar on the TCC website, this grid and information is on there. To be considered, all you need to do is apply to TCC. You need to apply for the FAFSA or the TASFA, and you need to meet the program requirements, which basically you need to be a resident of Tarrant County for tuition purposes. You need to have graduated and attended school within 1 year of graduation, graduating in the top 50% of your course at any public or private high school, or also be exempt from the TSI scores and fit into one of this family income grids. There is a very short orientation that you have to do once you are determined to be eligible that you will do with a academic advisor on the TCC campus. Okay, we are very fortunate. We have many benefactors that do support our Tcc Foundation and offer scholarships to our students. We have many scholarships, and you just have to fill out one application for most of them. So visit their website and fill out the application. It's not hard. If you have any questions, just give them a call, and they have all the explanations for their scholarship on their website. Okay, these are just some few things to know long term. We talked about a Pell grant, and there's limited funding over your lifetime. You are eligible for 12 full-time semesters or 6 years of study to receive the Pell grant. Once that's done, you're not eligible for any Pell for the rest of your life. There are limits on loans. For a subsidized loan, you can borrow up to $23,000. You need to remember that if you have a subsidized loan and you reach your 150% time frame, the loans that are dispersed after that, you have lost your subsidy. So you will be accruing interest on those, or rather it turns into an unsubsidized loan. So just remember that you need to get your degree and forward on. Because as you move on to the 4-year school, that 150% number will increase because it takes more credit hours for a bachelor's degree than an associate. If you find that you need to repeat a class, we will include that class in your enrollment status only one time if you are re-enrolling in a previously passed class. So when we are talking about needing 6 hours for student loans towards your degree program, if you're in one 3-hour credit class and you're in a second 3-hour credit class, but it's the 3rd time that you're taking it and you passed it, then that's not going to be included in your 6 hours, so you would not be eligible for the loans. So just make sure that you're aware of that. Our maximum time frame for satisfactory academic progress for an associate's degree, once you reach 90 attempted hours or 48 attempted hours for a certificate program, you have met your 150%, and that will make you ineligible for financial aid. Again, there is an appeal process if you can show extenuating circumstances, and we can consider that. Okay, to wrap up, important information, make sure you apply early, apply annually. It's going to be available October 1st. That's 1 month from today, so get ready. Check your MyTCC email daily, submit all required documentation. Read and adhere to the requirements on your terms of award and financial aid self-service. Those are all also on our website. Be sure to attend class and participate from the first class day. That is very important. And finally, if you do decide that you do need to drop a class, and that does happen, we encourage you to contact our office, and we can look at your financial aid and we can look at your academic history, and we can complete a form for you to let you know that if you do drop that class, this is how it's going to affect your financial aid. So, because we really want you to make an informed decision if you are needing to drop a class. You know, maybe you decide that maybe I'm not going to make a B, but, you know, if I can keep my financial aid, I will go ahead and take the C and consider retaking the class. This last slide, we have our contact information. Our website, there is a lot of information on the financial aid website. This is our email contact, fahelp@tccd.edu, and here is our contact phone number.
Okay, let me unshare my screen and put myself back on somewhere. There I am. Okay, all right. Were there any questions from the chat feature that we need to answer? I'm looking at that now. I just saw that one question about would the video be available, and yes, they're going to make that video available. And especially if there's some people that you know that didn't attend, they can go back and watch the video as well. We gave you the fahelp@tccd.edu email address. That's the best way to get in contact with us. If you have any questions about financial aid, and it doesn't have to be TCC related. If you have questions for financial aid, you can send us an email through that. I do ask that in the subject line you put Eagle Mountain Saginaw, so we'll know it came from this presentation. The reason we do that is because to answer most questions through FA Help, we ask that the students send it through their MyTCC email address, but if they're not TCC students, we want to make sure we get those questions answered as well. So we'll look for the name in the subject line. The other thing, they talked about the foundation scholarship, and they talked about the Stars of Tomorrow. Those are TCC scholarships that we have. Check with the institution if you're not coming to TCC, the institution that you're interested in, to see if they have any scholarships for incoming freshmen. Most four-year schools, especially the private schools, usually have what's called University Scholar or something in that realm. It's for students who are in the top 10% of the graduating class. You want to check the admissions information as well as financial aid information for how to be considered for those scholarships. Usually the admissions office is the one that takes the lead on that because they're getting your high school transcripts in, so they will be able to know where you are in your class ranking. Anything else? I'm trying to think of anything else to do with scholarships. They gave you the FastWeb email address. That's a really good source of outside scholarships. I've talked to a lot of students that got scholarships through FastWeb. I do recommend that if you do a FastWeb profile, you want to have a separate email account, not your main email account, for your FastWeb scholarship searching. The reason you want to do that is because they look at your demographic data and they will send you scholarships. They hit that information, and they'll continue to do that until you opt out. So you don't want to fill up your regular email account for those scholarship searching. So do a Gmail or a Yahoo email account just for scholarship searching. Okay, any questions that anyone may have, you can unmute yourself and ask those questions or put it in the chat feature, and we'll get those questions answered for you. I don't see any. Okay, I'm not seeing any right now. But later on, if you think of a question that you wanted to ask, go ahead and send that email to FA Help email, and we'll look for that and get those answers out to you. I'll be monitoring that this weekend to see if any come over on the weekend. Okay. So I guess